September 18th of 2013, and I'm Jeff Hummel doing a post-evaluation conference with Lori Phillips on contour line drawing shading for her advanced AP classes, and who else?
Advanced painting and drawing classes, 3 and 4.
3 and 4, that's the part I was missing. So, well, Lori, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I really enjoyed your class the other day. So I think what we'll do is we'll just start with that. Just tell me how you felt about the lesson and how things went and how maybe even how the students responded.
Well, I started the lesson with drawing because this is a drawing and painting class, and I wanted them to learn the fundamentals of drawing. And for some it was a review, for a lot of them it was brand new, and we went through quite a few different stages of drawing, and it went really well. I was very impressed with the style of drawing and the quality of drawing that I received from the group, and they loved it. It helps when an art student wants to be here and learn about the techniques, the basic techniques of drawing, because then you know that they're engaged and they want to continue learning those techniques.
Well, I think we're going to actually get into that in a minute because you mentioned the word engagement. I love your preparation that you've done. You know, we went through the pre-observation, so you answered a lot of questions there and lesson planning and so forth. They had scripted, and then the PowerPoint was quite wonderful. And I know you went through two versions of this as well. So, I noticed the slides that you added that helped the students get a grasp of that. But I have here, I just want to go through some of the things that I was looking at. And so we'll kind of start with, I noticed when I was in the classroom, you have the national standards for art up on the wall. Can you tell me a little bit about that, national art standards?
We have national standards, 6 of them. And they review and engage and improve the students' ability for art in every way you could imagine. The national standards are so strong that Iowa has incorporated those standards for the visual arts. And they go everything from the techniques that we teach to how it applies to their everyday life, how the art that they do is co-curricular, because in art you have a little bit of math, a little bit of literacy, a little bit of history. Everything you can imagine we bring into the arts. So the national standards that we use cover pretty much the whole realm of that.
Okay. So pretty comprehensive then.
Yes.
As the lesson progressed and as you got the students started, did you get the results that you expected from the students, do you think?
I did, and the reason I know that is, number one, I walked through and I watched them actually do the process that I taught them to do. They did a 3-minute drawing of a piece of garlic, and I wanted them to be able to just draw quickly exactly what they were seeing. So it was observational drawing. And after the fact, number one, I noticed that everybody was working hard. It was 100% engagement, which is wonderful because that tells me that they cared and that they really wanted to learn the skills. It was also a great warm-up project for the students to learn how to see and to actually draw what they are looking at, which is using your right brain rather than your left brain. The left brain will tell you what something looks like. The right brain will show you what it looks like. And that's basically why I wanted them to do this.
Using the right brain.
Using the right brain. And what that does is it teaches you how to see or draw what you are really looking at instead of making it up. The students, the project, after looking at it, after we were finished, I was amazed on the ability for my students, what they showed. as far as just drawing for 3 minutes, which is very frustrating and
Right.
very demanding to ask somebody to do that. Because when you put a mark down on the paper, you're putting your soul down on that paper, and it's intimidating.
Yeah.
And so with doing it more than once, and we did it 5 times, 3-minute, in 3-minute sections, we did it 5 times, they started feeling a little more comfortable, a little more self-confident with their drawing.
And did you see that in their drawing?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. It improved. From 1 to 5, I saw a huge improvement with confidence.
And the reason I asked that is I saw that shift in the students that I haven't seen in the work, so I was curious whether you, when you assessed the work, whether you saw that.
I definitely saw that there was a huge difference between 1 and 5. I've also done this project myself, and I never give a project to a student that I have not done myself. So I know exactly how they're feeling and what they're experiencing at the time.
You alluded to that in your introduction.
Yes, I did, and I wanted them to know that they weren't alone, because it is, like I said, intimidating at first. Anytime you're acquiring a new skill, it's scary, and so self-confidence comes hand in hand with the ability to do art. When you are feeling self-confident, and then you've opened up that right brain, you've opened up that ability to draw and feel free enough to show the skills.
And that in itself, is that the challenge with engagement with the students in art, is getting past that mark?
Yes, huge. And an artistic personality, and there are musical personalities, artistic personalities, mathematical personalities. Within an artistic personality, you get a lot of perfectionism. And so when you have a student who likes everything just perfect and wants to do something perfect the first time, then that is really difficult to get past. And so this warm-up exercise gets them past that. A lot of these students don't even want to start because they're afraid to fail. And so if we can get past that and feel more comfortable with it, then the next step is learning the actual skills.
So is the key to avoid failure and have them not fail, or?
No, failure is a good thing. I think they learn a lot from failure. And that's why these 3-minute sections were good, because the first one they couldn't finish in 3 minutes. And they were like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you asking me to do here? I can't even finish my first drawing, and you're wanting me to move on to my second drawing. So failure is good because they build upon that and they learn from it.
Overall, how did you feel the lesson went then, as far as from the beginning of the class period to the end of the class period?
I think it went beautifully. It was smooth. It was, and throughout the project, I made them feel, or I tried to make them feel a little more comfortable with themselves and with this project. And so I told stories, and I used examples of older students that went through this. I want to use examples of myself, and just to make them feel more comfortable. So I think the project went really, really good.
Well, speaking of breaching that barrier of comfort, talk about the music a little bit that you played while they were drawing.
Yeah, the first time I taught this, I didn't have music, and I learned my lesson. I learned that music really engages the right brain and the creative side of their soul, and I realized that if I played music softly in the background, nothing too wild, it had to be mellow, that they were listening to music as they were drawing, and it tied together beautifully.
Kind of puts them at ease then.
It puts them at ease, and it helps them concentrate on what it is they're doing, since sounds or activities like that.
Do you believe that the art standards align with the Iowa teaching standards? I know it's kind of hard because you have national standards, and we're still trying to find that balance between the two. But how might they align between the two of them? I know you have the teaching standards in our observation tool that we did here, and you have your art standards here that are on the wall.
And our visual art standards, National Visual Art Standards, is about content. It is the content standards. The teaching standards is just what that is. It's how we teach our national standards. So they align beautifully. In fact, I could probably point out some examples. In our teaching standards, it says, Standard 4 says using strategies to deliver instruction that meets the multiple learning needs of students. Well, in our national standards, we have our 6th standard says making connections between visual arts and other disciplines. So that is completely tied together. Using knowledge of structures and functions is tied to our 2nd teaching standard, demonstrates competence in content knowledge. So yes, they align
Good.
very nicely.
So you haven't struggled at all trying to work with both sets of standards?
No, not at all.
Why do you feel that the lesson appeals to your students' interests in art skills and what their art skill needs might be?
Well,
Or art skill
my
development?
students who have signed up for this class want to learn how to draw. And this is a drawing and painting class. So to be able to learn how to paint, you first have to learn how to draw. And so they are really interested in the steps to learn how to draw. They come in here thinking that it's a God gift. And I'm here to teach them that they can learn the techniques on how to draw. And once they learn one and they win at it, then they know, oh, maybe I can do something a little more difficult. Maybe I can get more complicated. And so they know that the process of learning how to draw is a step-by-step process. And one compounds on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. So it gives them interest.
Do you have an example, or can you talk to a moment where it was a real struggle to get someone to overcome that initial failure?
I've had students who come in thinking they know how to draw, and they have nothing to learn. And then I give them a qualitative line assignment. And they're looking at me thinking, you're ruining my drawing. Because it's a new concept, and they already knew it all, you see. So they get frustrated, and they complain, and then all of a sudden I hear an aha moment. Somebody will say, Miss Phillips, come look what I can do.
Well, you talked about that one student.
Yes, and that's a perfect example. Jessica, it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
She thought she knew it all, and I showed her this concept, and she yelled and screamed about it and complained and did not like it. And then but she kept working at it and practicing at it. And all of a sudden, she got it, and she had that aha moment. And ever since that moment, she used that concept, the qualitative line concept, and then she went to college in art, and the college professor said, "Where did you learn that?" Was very impressed with her work. He says, "We teach that 4th year in college." So she was so excited that she emailed me and told me that she already knew something that 4th year students didn't know. So that helps.
Yeah.
And that helps with their engagement too. I mean, they see that happening with the students around them, and they want that. They want to learn.
So one of the things that you're really concerned and passionate about is the engagement of the students and making sure that they're gaining what they need to from the art and that they're not disconnected.
Right. And of course you're going to have some.
Right.
But when I have a student that is not engaged, then I usually talk to each student individually because they start at different levels. And once a student comes in, I even grade them or assess their work on their level, how much they're improving, how much their knowledge is improving. So that's really a treat for them because they know that there's somebody sitting next to them that's not as good as them or that's better than them. And so emotionally, it's good for them to know